You are watching Cultured Unplugged. No, I'm just kidding. No, for real, you were watching Cultured Unplugged. You came to the right place. I am Uncle Chris. I am the moderator, the speaker, the mentor, and I am discussing some stiff penalties that could be coming for the defendants in the case at Southern University, defendants of Omega Psi Phi and the Caleb Wilson story. So there's a lot to unpack. I'm going to get into it. Make sure that you like and subscribe because this is the channel to be. And I'd love to just say thank you for all of the subscribers that have joined in. Honestly, I think I found my niche. I found my niche to definitely not only share my story, but use this space to continuously mentor young people like yourself or anyone really who's just looking for a bit of motivation. So you came to the right place. I appreciate your patronage, just being able to give your support. And we're going to get into this topic. And so the topic we're discussing is Louisiana state punishment, stiff penalties, harsh penalties. It's the South. We're going to break into it and really discuss what's going to be coming. So don't go anywhere. Let my little video play and then stick around. Let's get it unplugged. I have been glued to this story. I have been glued. You all know why. You heard my story. You've seen some of the information that I've shared that have been rather graphic, if I may add, some of the pictures included. But I feel when you are telling a story and something, when it comes down to testimony, you must keep it 100% real, authentic to the full extent that you can. And I have found myself in this new case, this new story with Caleb Wilson, and have looked at similar situations where hazing has occurred and a death has occurred, looked at the timelines. We talked about the timelines. Now I want to know, based on AI's findings, what exactly is the anti-hazing laws in Louisiana? What does that look like for the defendants? We know that there's one defendant right now and two others are to come forward. One of them, first one that we've had, no relation, Caleb McCrae. First name is wild that it's a similar one as Caleb Wilson, but neither here nor there. He was a student that most recently graduated from Southern University, by the way, and came back to have and participate in hazing on Caleb Wilson, and so and others, which was his Line brothers. I still want to know a couple of key things. What are the Line brothers doing? Are they watching any of these videos? Are they being questioned or also being a part of the legal process? There's much too early to know. And furthermore, trial dates have not been set, and we are very much early on in investigation, but things are moving very fast. And I like to get ahead of myself sometimes. So by doing that, I look at what the statutes look like in terms of the legal precedents in Louisiana, and especially how it relates to Baton Rouge. What does the defendants possibly could look forward to as far as future punishments, right? So if I am the prosecutor in the case, I'm going to be looking at the laws as they are presented. Now, I don't have no legal background, but I play a good one if I ever have to go to traffic court. But with that in mind, I look at the fact that, hey, again, if I'm a prosecutor, I'm looking at all the facts. I'm looking at the situation. I'm knowing that not only a bodily injury happened, but a death happened. And there was an act that came about before this one, but not that far as the case goes. 2018. In 2018, a white student by the name of Max Gruver, who attended Louisiana State University, LSU. Any LSU alumni, maybe you know about this particular case. Just kind of impacting that the whole act was created. And the reason why I brought up white, by the way, is the fact that people in the comments asking me, probably who are Black, why are you only focused on Black fraternities? Why are you only focused on black sororities, Divine Nine. Well, I'll be honest with you, and surprisingly so, I didn't realize that there was a whole death that had happened in Louisiana prior to this one, and it involved a white student. But because you have raised your voice about me focusing only on black, we're going to touch into this white case, okay? So this case, regardless of race, by the way, I'm not impartial to race or discriminatory. The Max Gruver Act was enacted in Louisiana in 2018. This revolves, again, Maxwell Gruver, an 18-year-old Louisiana State University student who died from acute alcohol intoxication during a Phi Delta Theta fraternity hazing event. The hazing involved forced alcohol consumption, leading to Gruver's death. Multiple fraternity members faced charges, including negligent homicide and hazing. One member, Matthew Naquin, was convicted of negligent homicide and sentenced to prison. The case prompted the enactment of the Max Gruver Act in 2018, strengthening anti-hazing laws in Louisiana. So I'm looking at the legal framework of this, being that it was enacted in 2018, it resulted in a death where a serious bodily injury, substantial risk, it is a felony in Louisiana. So convictions under this law can lead up to imprisonment and significant fines. And that is not even the harshest, really the harshest crime or the harshest punishment. The harshest punishment is actually the manslaughter that Caleb McRae now has to defend against, which carries up to 40 years in prison. So in conclusion of that, in Baton Rouge, the likelihood of a black student receiving harsh punishment for involvement in a hazing incident that results in death aligns with the state's legal standards applied to all individuals, irrespective of race. The severity of the punishment is determined by the nature of the offense and adherence to state laws such as the Max Gruver Act, rather than the race of the accused. Okay, so I'm just kind of putting this out there again. We're so far ahead from the trial where I understand that. Much respect to the Caleb Wilson family. Much respect to all those involved during the police that are working on this case. I'm not an attorney. I'm not a lawyer, a police officer, whatever like that. I'm just, again, I understand when it comes down to the law, there's certain things that are put out there for a reason and acted. And I don't know, in my mind, I don't know how y'all feel about this, but I am uncomfortable for this situation where if I'm the defendant, I'm sitting there like, shit, a whole act. Okay, let me not say this. The defendant's attorney, Caleb McRae's attorney, must be looking at this as how would he be able to defend Caleb McRae in terms of, really coming up with a case that's defensible, in terms of a whole act that was just passed in 2018. And that lets me know it's probably the worst state to have this particular case to defend against, to be honest with you. I look at it from a standpoint of, from what I had, I'm going to kind of give you a background again, real quick, brief. When I went through my hazing situation in Virginia, the Commonwealth attorney was in a sorority, by the way. I can't say which one. Again, I'm trying to be, right? Legality reasons. But the Commonwealth attorney was a sorority member of a Divine Nine. And she pushed to make sure that the defendants in that case against me, basically her focus was, how did she put it? She said, we want to make sure that they have an understanding that this is wrong and that hazing should never exist. And for that reason, I'm going to push for them to take seminars and trainings and picking up trash at a park. A death happened. Obviously, it's another state. It's further south from where I was. I was in Virginia. Further south. This is going to be heavier. It's going to be stricter. The Commonwealth attorney is not impartial and not biased. This is a straight up case of, hey, what are the facts? Who are the defendants? What's the case? Guilty by reasonable doubt? Is there enough evidence to state that, hey, this is what's going to happen? I'm going to share with you, just from reading the case and the fact that I read, according to the news outlets in Louisiana, that they attempted to do a cover-up when this young man, Caleb Wilson, collapsed. He collapsed after having severe heavy blows, heavy punches to the chest, humiliated, beaten down, and which resulted him to collapse and then turn into a seizure. And frankly, folks, which is really rather disturbing, died on the scene, okay? Really, or unconscious completely. And once he arrives, well, let me jump back. They cover up this story to remove his clothes. Did y'all hear that? They removed his clothes. Removed his clothes and changed it. Taking off the jeans and putting on some sweats, like literally. Could you imagine seeing that? You're in so fear of your chance that, hey, all of your dreams, your school. If I'm Caleb McRae, I just graduated. I'm in the military, by the way. If you didn't know, he is a military member. I'm a military member. All opportunities. He's 23, by the way. Caleb McRae is 23 years old. Caleb Wilson is 20 years old. Caleb Wilson's life is over. He doesn't have any more. I've had a lot of life since 20 years old, so I know that that's effed up, that he is gone since then at that age. But furthermore of the case, when I look at Caleb McRae, his life is over as well. So he's probably thinking at that time when Caleb Wilson collapses, has a seizure, massive amounts of panic, and rushing to get to a fix. How can we fix this? What can we do? Can you grab his stuff? Take his sweater off. Take his sweats off. Take his shirt off. Put this on him. Let's just say and concoct that he was at a park. He collapsed there, and everybody keeps that story. Don't just drop him off at the hospital at 3:15 in the morning. Caleb Wilson, dies or is officially dead. What was really going on in their minds? What was going on in Caleb McRae's mind? What were the other Lyon brothers having to contend with, dealing with this sudden incident situation where they're now having to deal with this and realize that this is their new reality? Folks, I have to say, and I think I mentioned it, that a lot of times when hazing occurs, especially like this, and something like this happens, there's a lot of panic, but it comes from arrogance. It comes from ego. It comes from young people getting out of hand. I'm giving the benefit of the doubt that there wasn't necessarily a ill will intention to kill Caleb Wilson. There's certain laws and statutes that define what murder is and what hazing looks like. But we look at the legal framework and we look at the case and we see, well, what actual actions? Was it a punch? Was the punch deliberate for him to die? Was it a deliberate, and generally it caused bodily injury. It resulted in the death. So you can see how complex this can be. You can see that in their defense, they can come up with a lot of different things. And we're going to be looking at what those are. I'm curious. I'm even thinking I might take a flight down there to Louisiana, Baton Rouge for myself when the trial time happens, just to kind of be there and cover it a little bit like some damn reporter. I'm not a reporter, by the way. But again, I'm glued to this story because this has a lot of similarity with my case, with my story. So I think about this. I think about Caleb Wilson's family. They have no clue when they're having that funeral, by the way, yet. That body is still being worked on as far as forensics go. That has to be immensely hard. He just passed away February 27th. It is now March 7th, a whole week and a day. Normally a burial happens within a week or a funeral happens within a week. But this funeral, whenever that is, probably won't happen until maybe next week, late next week, maybe even the week after, unfortunately, because of the framework of how this case has really caused nationwide attention. And I'm just a small fish in a big pond here when I say that it is disturbing to see the facts as they stand. It is disturbing to the family. It is disturbing to those who, like you and I, we're watching this case closely. You're watching the videos. You're hearing essentially my viewpoints on them wherever you are. And you're probably wondering, I should probably subscribe by now, right? I just got you. Subscribe. But going back into this here, we have a long way to go. We don't know everything. We're still uncovering. I'm not sure what. I'm curious. I'm still curious about how Caleb McRae might be kind of thinking about his life right now. What is going on in his mind? I'm sure, like anyone else, probably in his mind, and what he's thinking about is, how did I get myself in this situation? Did I take things too far? What's going to happen to me? What is my parent? How do my family feel about me? How does my friends? There are a lot of people that are just like with the pitchforks. Down with Omega Psi Phi. F Omega Psi Phi. They're done. I know Omega Psi Phi as the rambunctious crowd, the rambunctious fraternity that has basically no limits, can do whatever, glorify sexuality in such a way that permeates the energy and excitement that people come to love when they go to the HBCU schools. The atomic dog chanting, the party ruckus, all that stuff. Trust me, I've seen it. For as long as I have known what an HBCU is, I have known the same timeline of what it is to be an Omega Psi Phi member. I've also, many of you asked me, have I ever joined or thought about joining Omega Psi Phi? No, that wasn't the fraternity. And no, not for me. But there are people who feel that they had a connection. The Line brothers involved, including Caleb Wilson, who was also a band member of the Human Jukebox marching band at Southern University, had to have some type of level of process. And so in the back of his mind, his father was a Omega Psi Phi member. He's got all this pressure to finish, to get through this. He must be an Omega Psi Phi member because he has so much to be able to prove and complete. And that's the real issue, as we unpack the psychology of what hazing looks like in and around HBCUs in this country, how Black families who have a history of not only going to the events of HBCUs, which include probates and step shows, how they feel their relationship means. After this case, I've seen a lot of comments from people who said they renounced their affiliation with Divine Nine organizations. I have heard many of stories who have said, hey, I'm proud of what I have went through. I would do it all again if you asked me to. That's to be determined. We have a new generation now, and more of you who are Generation Z are saying enough is enough. That's not what we do. We should never put someone through bodily injury so deep that it can kill them. So, with everything that I have found, the Max Gruver Act, we wait. We wait to see what this is going to look like in terms of those involved. We wait to see how this case will unfold. My purpose is to find out the truth. My purpose is to find out how this all went down and what, to the point of up until his last breath, Caleb Wilson, what do you think he might have thought in that time? You think he thought about his mother, his father? Do you think he thought about just, hey, one more night? Maybe tomorrow night I can get back to this again and everything will be okay? Or what do you think about his parents, his mother? Maybe his mother's watching this and she's contending the fact that I've lost my baby. A father that has to wake up every morning into a new reality where his son is no longer. That has to be tough. That has to be so effed up and cruel. That's their reality. And no amount of, hey, I just want to do this memorial or drop by and give flowers is going to bring them back. The defendants, they still have a life that they can still live and breathe. careless. Careless acts, ego, possible alcohol consumption, arrogance, recklessness. This is what you get. This is what you're signing your kids up that say, hey, I want to do, or I'll just say this, potentially, possibly, I want to go through this type of experience to be this person. And what kind of disturbs me the most is the fact that people who have been great people, always been really great people, who decide to join, sometimes take on a new persona. That new persona, if you may ask what that is that new fraternity or sorority now becomes their whole identity. And that identity piece, sometimes it loses a bit of who they really are. Or maybe it enhances who they are, depending on who you ask. But that is troubling, regardless. So we'll wait. We'll cover more of this. My goal and commitment to you is to be able to give you accurate information. And call me out. If I messed up, call me out on it. That's okay. I'm human. We make problems. We make mistakes. But I have a due commitment to give you what I truly feel based on this case and future cases that are similar to this. So maybe this is my new direction. Maybe it's just a part of the direction that I'm going. That I'll still include travel vlogs. I'll still include mentorship pieces. And I'll still give you final thoughts like this. I'm going to let you go. I'm going to go ahead and get myself together for bed. And we will chat again soon. Stay unplugged with me. Subscribe to me. Follow me, share. Leave your comments. I love to read them. Let's get it unplugged.